Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. That's right, folks. We are back, and we have a great one this week. We're going to Staten Island, folks, the mecca of New York State, of course. You know, in the Tri-Boroughs area, it is what everyone dreams of going to. Manhattan, who needs it? Staten Island is the place to go, especially if you're a vampire, of course. And it's going to be a ton of fun to talk about what we do in the shadows, the TV series, of course. It's going to be a ton of fun to do. We are going to spoil the hell out of it. So if you haven't seen the series or if you missed an episode or two, be prepared for us to chat all about it, because we've got an hour and we got a lot to talk about. So be prepared. You can just call me Jackie Daytona, human bartender. I have my toothpick right here, so I'm ready for it, folks. All right, Mr. Mike, are you ready to talk about it and just hop in?
Yeah, we can hop in. We've got a first of all, howdy, and welcome to our. And in some way, as we're recording this, it's our final episode in our countdown to Halloween 2023. But as people are listening to this, it's our first episode for our countdown at Halloween 2024. So.
You know, we do things
Smooth, Mike.
on the
Smooth.
podcast.
So it is a countdown to Halloween episode, no matter how you look at it. But we've got Mark Maddox with us.
Hi, toodles, everybody.
Howdy, welcome back, sir.
I hope everybody's doing okay.
And Phaedra, we've got you back with us as well.
Yes, hello. I'm glad to be back.
Excellent. Let's as Mike said, let's get right into it. I want to start with you then. What was your because we've never covered it's been 5 seasons, we've never covered the series, we've never even covered the movie on this show before. And to be honest with you, part of that is my bad, because I'd never seen the show until about a month or so ago. I'd seen the movie way back when, but I'd never seen the show. What drew you initially to this series? Had you seen the movie first?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was I think I can't remember. I think I had seen the movie first, and then I heard about the series and I jumped in because I was like, oh yeah, like, because the movie was just absurd, and it was before, like, people really knew who Taika Waititi was. And I knew who Rhys Darby was from Flight of the Conchords, and he's just, everything he's in is just hilarious. And so I watched that, and then I don't remember if someone told me about. I think someone told me about it. I don't know who, and then I started watching, and I was like, this is fantastic. It's a series I've rewatched several times.
Nice. So you were watching from the first episode, like from the first season on?
I don't. I think there is maybe not right as it started, but I think maybe it was into season 2 when I first started watching. I can't really say.
Gotcha.
There's been a lot of binge watching in my life.
Yeah, well, that's
especially during quarantine
and
and whatnot. But I can't really, quarantine kind of messed up everything as far as timelines.
That is
I'm like,
true.
I don't know.
Yeah, that seems to be how we consume things now. Binging, right? Mark, what about you? What was your experience with this series? Had you seen the movie first?
I saw the movie first. I'd heard things about it. An artist friend of mine over in Britain, Graham Humphreys, had done the poster, I think, for their version over there for their release. And I'd heard good things about it, watched the film, got some good laughs out of it. And then the first season came on streaming, and I watched it. And it's funny because the show was fine. The first season to me was fine, but it was like, okay, we'll maybe see some more of this later. And it was kind of like, meh. But then we got into the second season I don't know, a couple of months ago or something, maybe 3-4 months back. And it was, it was like anything else, like a lot of shows, they're building as they're going along. And by the time we got in the second season and then third, fourth, and fifth, they had gotten a stride that was really good, So so we gobbled it up, especially when Mike said something about me doing the show. It was like yum 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 yum, Pac-Man'd our way through it, but it was easy because it was so funny.
Yeah. It's fun. It's really to continue with the binging and the eating metaphors. It's quite like quite easy to eat. Like it's just
Mhm.
they're like half the hour, not even, right?
Yeah, I think they're
So you could,
one of them
they're
was like
just
20
so
minutes.
they're
It's like
pretty
popping an
easy
M&M.
to they're pretty
Yeah.
easy to consume and binge. Like one or two, you can just I mean, it's almost like Lay's potato chips. You can't just watch one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You find yourself watching 2 and 3 and then going, okay, maybe I should stop now, but
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
For me, it was interesting. I had seen the movie, the original one, probably at least 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and loved it. I loved everything about it, from the opening theme song to the characters. And, you know, it was a lot of fun to see. But one of the things, I never thought about it after. And, you always saw the pictures of them in the coffins, or you saw them at, pictures, people cosplaying them as at the cons and stuff like that. And it was always a ton of fun. But then Dragon Con, when they closed down in 2020 for the pandemic, and they did the online version of the parade and everything, and it was hosted by two folks who we know, Crispy, and I don't remember who the other one was. They were cosplaying as Nandor, and as, of course, the lovely beautiful Nadia, and then also Colin Robinson and stuff. It's like, what is this? And a friend of mine told me, oh, they're cosplaying as, What We Do in the Shadows. I said, they weren't in the movie. And he says, dude, there's been a TV series for like the last 2 years. And so we looked it up and saw that was on Hulu, and we started binging it with the second season, I think, just had ended. So we watched the first 2 seasons, and I loved how it tied in to the movie perfectly. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, oh, this is just another take on it. It actually went with the lore and everything. And that's one of the things I loved about it. And it was an interesting take on vampires. And I think what won me over most, truthfully, has to be Matt Berry, because I remember him from the IT crowd.
Yeah.
And, and because he's the only one I knew from it. And it was just like, oh, this is just awesome. So, and the human hat was, human skin hat. Sorry, witch hat.
The witch hat.
Yeah, yes.
The cursed hat.
Butthole.
Exactly. It's just
Yeah.
awesome. So that's how I got into it.
The I mentioned it on the show before, but in case you're new to Earth Station One, I'm big on vampires. I love vampire movies, love vampire stories. I was not compelled to watch the movie What We Do in the Shadows, when it first came out, for 2 reasons. One, I think by that time I'd already seen at least 1 or 2 things by Taika, and I didn't gel entirely with his sense of humor. Some of it I found funny. Like sometimes I found it funny, and sometimes I just was like, it's not working for me. So I was worried about that. And 2, there's there is a bad tradition of vampire comedies films that are out there, and I just was not really like thinking I would want to see another one. Sometimes I might, take it too seriously, but I was just like, I don't think so. But finally, a few years ago, I did watch the movie, and I really enjoyed it, much more than I thought I would. I think I think it's fairly early on in the movie. Spoilers for the movie. But I think it's fairly early on in the movie where they're all just standing outside the nightclub because they haven't been invited in. And just things that simple.
Yeah.
I was howling.
Yeah.
I'm like, and each one of the characters was a different representation of a different era of vampires, a different kind of vampire, a different style. And I really appreciated that. It looked like, you could definitely tell it was made by people who were fans of the vampire genre, vampire movies, and they were really like using that knowledge and referencing a lot of fun things in that show, in that movie. And I was like, okay, this is cool. A few years later, it was going to be made into a series. I was like, oh, I'll have to get around to watching that. I don't think I had Hulu at the time, so although I think it was on FX, but it was always difficult for me to catch things on FX. So it was one of those things where I'm like, well, I'll get around to it. And then heard that the first season, this is what I heard. It turns out not to be the case, but for those people who might have heard this myth as well, but people said that, oh, the first season is they're just redoing the movie.
Mm-mm.
And I was
Uh-oh.
like, well, that doesn't sound very fun. Yeah, it's just they're just redoing the movie with a different cast. And I was
Right.
like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can wait.
Yeah.
So yes, that is not the case. So anyway, held off. And while I'm holding off on it, they're doing another season. And it gets more insurmountable because it's like, oh, well, now I have to catch up with 3 seasons. Oh, now I have to catch up with 4 seasons. Now I have to, oh, they just did a 5th season. So, when Mike and I decided that we were going to cover it this October for our Halloween episodes, I was like, all right, finally gives me an excuse, sit down and watch these. So over the last month or so, I've been binging all 5 seasons. I do agree with you, Mark, that the first season is a little rough.
It's still good. Don't get me wrong. I still liked
you're
it.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But there were things that I was kind of initially like disappointed is actually too strong a word, but I was just I didn't find it as clever as the movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, the movie had like different representations, different versions of vampires, different styles of vampires all living together.
Yeah.
This seemed to be like more of this 3 of the same, and then like Colin
Colin
Robinson,
the energy vampire, right?
Yeah. And it was like, okay, how are they really different? Then they didn't seem to be referencing other vampire things so much as it was sort of taking cues from shows like Seinfeld or The Office or stuff like that. So I was like, this is kind of weird, but I mean, I like the characters, I like the actors, I like the performers. That worked for me. I was worried about Colin Robinson because I thought, oh, this is a one joke character, and certainly for the first season, it's a one joke character. Like it's a one joke that just keeps going on and on. Like, and it's one of those one jokes that like it's funny, and then it's not funny, and then it's funny again, and then it's not funny. And then it's funny again.
It grows on you, and
exactly.
Right.
But they actually, second, third, fourth season, they started branching, especially the season. What is it? The third or fourth season where he's a baby or he's a boy? Like he's
that's season 4. Yeah, when he comes back. His new generation or regeneration, if you will.
So that was really interesting. So overall, love it now. Especially this last season. Boy, they had a lot of fun with a lot of different stuff. I think this last season was the best put together season out of all of them. So whereas most TV shows by the 5th season, you're kind of like, is it getting towards the end? Maybe they should think about it. They've already announced that there's going to be a 6th season, and I couldn't be happier because I'm like, I don't think it's ever been stronger. So, Maybe we're going to go back to you. What is something about the series, either a plot point, character, what have you, that really you connect with, that resonates with you?
Wow. A plot point?
A plot point or a character or something that you're like
just one plot point. Come on.
That's a tough one, man.
Something about the series that you're like, okay, this is one of my favorite shows, or this is a show that is a keeper.
So I'm a fan of ensemble shows, and like this is an ensemble cast. Like I was sitting here, I'm like, I could do a ranking of my favorite characters, but I love them all, and I just love and I also like how, I mean, like you said, in season 1 it was kind of weak, whatever, but like they built on that, and like because I started rewatching everything a couple weeks ago, and you could see this things that happened in season 1 that they picked up later. And in later seasons, and I don't know whether it was intentional, probably not intentional, because I don't think they knew they were going to get a 2nd season when they did the first one. So, but like they went back like, oh, well, let's expand upon this, let's expand upon that. And I just like how everybody got fleshed out. Like everybody has, their own journey and whatnot. And I don't know about my favorite plot point. I don't know. That's just, ugh. That's just
Wow.
difficult.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm like, wow. That's just. I mean, I think Guillermo is like my favorite because he really is like the everyman character,
Mhm.
and then like you feel bad for him, but at the same time you're like, come on, dude, just
Yeah.
you just stop taking that. But then like he takes matters in his own hands, and then his whole like being being a Van Helsing, and then like his whole
That was a
family
nice
has it,
twist. That
and
was
like
such a great twist.
and the fact that he's a bigger guy, but he's moving around and just kicking ass, and just and like when he squares off against Nandor, and he's just like oh, I let you think that you hypnotized me, but I've got like when he's like, I really can kill you right now, I'm deciding not to,
Yeah.
and meaning it. So I guess that's my the whole Guillermo's arc, and him being a vampire hunter that briefly got turned into a vampire.
It's interesting because I felt like out of all the characters in the series, he had the most growth out of all of them, because he was
sure.
and everything, from finding just going from being wanting to be a vampire to finding out that he's a Van Helsing, and he's a vampire killer, and his whole family is, and he comes from a whole line of it, which was just awesome and everything. And the vampires using that to their advantage too, which was really awesome. And then of course then him not being turned into a vampire finally got to him, and he took, like you said, Phaedra, that he took the matters into his own hands. And that was an interesting situation too.
Very much so. Yeah, the way that played out, I thought, because it did seem like, as much as I enjoyed season 4, it seemed like they were almost like, I'm like, okay, now they're kind of spinning their wheels, not a little bit, just, and then when Guillermo makes the decision at the end of season 4, you're like, oh, things are going to change next season is going to be different. And it really was in a lot of ways. I mean, it really shook things up, and I really like the way they played out. Now I'm worried that season 6 is going to be like, okay, back to normal. Like, back to season 1 again. And I love Guillermo. I think he's like, his character is one of the best fleshed out in the show. The actor is great. I do wish they get into what I call Jim takes. These, like the shots on The Office where you just see Jim go, like, he stares at the camera. For those people who are listening, he just stares at the camera like, everybody in this office is insane except me. Like, and you do get that shot a lot in What We Do in the Shadows. It's like the vampires will say something or do something, and then it cuts to Guillermo, and he just looks at the camera like, can you believe this? And then and sometimes it happens like 4 or 5 times in an episode, but it's one of those things that, again, it's like, you laugh at it, and then it's not funny for a while, and then it starts to be funny for it again, and then it's not funny. Like, it's just that type of humor. Mark, any thoughts on Guillermo and his arc?
I love Guillermo. There's no character on the show I don't like. Even ones that are only they'll be gone for several episodes. They'll come back in for a few. One of my favorites, Phaedra already took the real good one with Guillermo in his arc, but the one that I really was like into, and it's like, and then it breaks apart, and you're like, oh, please let's have more of this, is the energy vampire Colin and meeting the lady energy vampire.
Yes.
And it goes, I think we have to break up. It's so sad. And then he starts to walk away, and she goes like that. It's just so, I'm like sitting there just going like, it just drives me nuts.
And
but it is
so
so
many
hilarious.
people like that too, which is really horrible.
It's like, you want to be an energy vampire, I'm a worse energy vampire, and you actually making him mad. Or when he goes up and the episode starts with him, and he's got all these laptops, and he's communicating out with people. He goes, I found you can actually get energy from people now off the internet, and it's not as good as a feed as direct contact. So he goes over and he goes, Jesus hates horses, and then hits the send button. I mean, stuff like that is so funny. Or what's his face? The real slender actor who plays in the Hellboy movies, who's the head vampire, the big vampire. He's on Star Trek as well. He's on Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Linda and I laugh so
Baron.
hard because it's almost
Baron.
like MASH on steroids. I remember one thing I loved about MASH is there'd be a joke and a joke and a joke and a joke. Well, this is like there's the regular jokes, and then there's these little tiny little zap, 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 zaps right in the middle of it. So at the very end of the show, and we've got two big dogs, and they go nuts over the squirrels. They take their hellhound outside, who's just a regular dog. You know, the tail's going and all that kind of stuff.
Listen, a golden retriever as a hellhound is actually quite accurate.
Well, it's such a beautiful dog, and they go outside. They go, the squirrels are bothering the hellhound. It goes outside, and just as a little aside, he breathes a flamethrower breath and cooks the tree that the squirrel's in, and it's just like a split second. And I'm like, not only was it funny, not only was it fast, which a good joke is, but it also had a really good special effect. I mean, that was another thing too, off on the side. First season special effects, you could tell it was almost like the special effects guys were getting better from season to season. It's more robust and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, what can I say? I laugh. That's the bottom line on this show. I laugh.
Yeah, the special effects, I mean, really went into overdrive this past season with all the like Dr. Morale type Guillermo creatures
that was disturbing.
That was
Guillermo's children.
Yeah, that there was a whole new creep factor there.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you? What's something either plot, story wise, an arc, or a character? You know, I guess we're focusing on characters. So if you want to put another one,
you have to love Laszlo and Nadia. They are just amazing. Matt Berry, I would love him just to sit in front of me and read the phone book. It would be amazing. His voice is just so, and how he rolls his letters and stuff. It's just like, and it's fascinating to see. But the characters of Laszlo and Nadia, they are interesting because they're married, but they also screw around with anything that walks pretty much. And it's open marriage beyond belief, male, female, in between, whatever they will go for. And, even Laszlo had his own series of porn movies that he started. And it's just awesome. And, Laszlo tries to come off as the smartest person in the room, and half the time he's not.
Not a high bar.
No,
not a high bar.
Especially Nandor, especially when you're around Nandor, he's not smart.
No. Nandor is relentless, but yes, it's awesome. And the characters of the two of them though is great. I loved in the last season how Nadia was trying to get back to break the curse, so she reconnected with people from her homeland and everything. And I love it. Oh, there never was a curse and everything.
Yeah.
And everything. And then Nadia and the doll was just
that doll's funny.
That
doll is amazing.
Well, and let's talk the actress. I can't remember her name, who plays Nadia, and like the one episode where she switches bodies with the doll, and just like her physical mannerisms are all different, and just like she's running around like a doll that just got human legs and all of that, like, and like her doing like 2 different voices for the doll, for herself and the doll, and just like she's like such a I really love Nadia.
I do too. And the thing is too, when you're watching the show, they're going down the street at night, and then they hear some voice from the sewer, and I'm like, and I look over at Linda, are we hearing a voice from the sewer? And then she says, "Excuse me, are you talking to us from the sewer?" And it's like, that's what I want to know. I mean, just the way things are just so blunt on there, blatant. It's weird to you too, huh?
Or her running the nightclub from where the the headquarters of the vampires were and everything.
Just so good.
There was so much great.
The episode where Nandor kind of lets the secret fly on the news while there's a disaster going, and they're all freaking out in the house because Guillermo's not there, so they're all freaking out about what to do about it and everything like that. Nadia's trying to get like everybody out of there. She's got like a whole plan in place.
Ready.
She has to get the go bags ready, and then like so we cut back and we see her. And she's got blonde hair now, and she's holding the doll, and the doll has blonde hair, and it's just that those little things like that just
they
crack
always
me up.
had matching outfits. They always Every time, always had matching outfits.
It's fast.
And bravo to them for when they showed the Council of Vampires the first time, and almost any movie vampire anyone who was still alive was in that scene, including Pee Wee Herman or Paul Rubin.
They did cut from a huge range of folks that they could get from.
And I'd like that they included Blade in that too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Day Walker.
Absolutely.
Right.
Even though you had to like kind of zoom in. That was playing with that technology was kind of funny too, because he was always like there was always a delay and
you gotta reset the router, Holmes.
and I'm not surprised that this happened. And even though he's not my favorite, I'm gonna say like I want to talk about Nandor the Relentless for a little bit, because first of all, like I said, I'm not surprised. Phaedra, you threw some shade on Nador just a few minutes ago, and Mike and I were talking like a week or so ago, and he was like, "Oh, Nandor," and so he's like, "Nandor's like my least favorite character." Whatever.
Oh, I love Nandor.
Out of all the characters, but I still love him. You know,
this is I tell you what, this season with Guillermo was really fun, but what I did not expect is at the end of it that Nandor would add a whole new dimension to him, because even though we've been, and true, he's been selfish about it, but he also knew that Guillermo was not ready. He knew that Guillermo was not ready to be a vampire, that was not made of vampire material, and he also knew like right away why Guillermo was taking so long to convert, because of the Van
Helsing
blood. Van Helsing DNA, right?
Yeah, right.
They were like, oh, of course. I mean, he knew right away.
Well, he's usually such an idiot that he actually said something. Even we were like shocked.
Exactly.
Well, it's like the other vampires were shocked, and the audience at home were like, "Hey, he actually said something smart."
Right.
Crap! It was like just such a shocker.
Which that was cool, because you're like, wow, he said something smart, and then like not too long after that is when we find out that Nandor knew all along that Guillermo wasn't ready, and that like that, and so it kind of built on that. Like, okay, so he's not as dumb as we think he is. Now, sometimes he is. Obviously, the scenario where he was dealing with the news people, that was awful, and he was probably at his dumbest.
Well, when him and Laszlo have like the whole hypnotize off thing or whatever, and he's like, you keep hypnotizing people, and Guillermo's like, the Burrow's getting stupider because you keep hypnotizing people. It's like, he tripped at the basketball game, and he's like, nobody saw that.
But one thing with the Nandor in those later episodes is that I like the fact that you actually saw him really mad finally. Yes. Like when he realized he's like staring at him. It reminds me of my dogs when they're going to have a showdown with each other. It was just sort of like he's staring at me. I am going to kill you, and then I'm going to kill myself. And while it was still a comedy and there was lots of jokes flying, it was a little bit intense. It's one thing about the Van Helsing connection, and then Guillermo becoming a vampire, and then Nandor finding out, which, while it's still in the realm of comedy, has got a bit of edge to it. You kind of lean into it. I think Nandor is great. Besides, I'm going to be him next Halloween, so
of course.
I got to do my voice in Guillermo. I don't even know how to do it yet, but I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm gonna keep working on it. It's just, I love the way he talks. His voice is so funny. It's such a fun voice.
It's got one of those accents. Sometimes I just need a phrase to like click with it. And for me, the phrase that always comes to mind when I think of Nandor is the do me the do do.
Yeah.
And just think, it took Patton Oswalt to help calm him down.
Yeah.
Well, he killed Patton Oswalt.
It's too bad Patton Oswalt's rest in peace.
I was very happy to see Patton.
Now there's going to be people actually listening to the show going, Patton Oswalt's dead.
Too many
spoiler, it's on the show, people.
Yeah, in this world he is. Yes.
I love it. I was very pleased with this show. Very pleased.
Absolutely. What about some of the side characters? Mike, as you pointed out, one thing that was great was that the council was made up of characters from the movie.
The movie and every
and
other
all
movie you could
like
think
movie
about.
vampires.
Yeah.
And yes, as Phaedra pointed out, other movies as well. But it was really fun to see like characters from the movie pop up, at least for the first, I think, 2 seasons, and then of course our crew takes over as the council.
Yes.
So
Right.
and I kind of think they've dropped that storyline now, because I don't think all last season they dealt with any council business. So
I mean, just the host.
the host,
Kristen Shaw.
the guide rather. Sorry.
Oh, the guide. Yeah, the guide. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was a joke. She's like, I keep waiting. Nobody's coming to work. Like,
Yeah. I thought maybe you just forgot about me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you?
Oh yeah. But it's interesting because I've liked the storyline that they did with the Baron, because he was the big feared head vampire who helped create all of them. And then Guillermo, ended up opening the door while he was standing there when the sun came in.
Yeah.
And just like fried his ass.
Yeah.
And then
that's that whole that Van Helsing beginning stuff, and then he goes off with that gargoyle monster, and then they've got their dog.
And the Hellhound.
Sire.
The Hellhound.
The Sire.
They need a spin-off show.
I would absolutely watch that show.
Me too.
In the suburbs of New Jersey. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Getting unsuspecting Airbnb guests and, feeding off of them.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really clever too. That I was just sorry, I didn't mean to dial back, but I just thought it was clever too, the way that that Nandor figured out, like, they can't just, like, the one stupid thing that Guillermo did was having that one guy turn him. But I don't think he realized that that's not the guy you want, like, to turn you, because if that guy dies, which he probably would pretty soon, like, because he wasn't exactly the sharpest tool, and this is coming from our group,
I know.
like, you're gonna be dead. So they the way they worked out of that. But as far as other guest stars for me, I think season 2, seeing Mark Hamill as Jim,
he was good. We didn't recognize him at first. The first couple of minutes,
I didn't either until the credit, and I was like, "Oh my!"
It was the voice. It was him doing the voice. I said, "That's somebody who's really good." And I said, "Mark Hamill." That's
and at Dragon Con, I saw so many people dressed as Jackie Daytona. It was awesome.
So
very good.
Between
human bartender.
Between Mark Hamill's turn in this as Jim of the Vampire and his recent turn on Fall of the House of Usher, I would not be surprised if more doors don't keep opening it for him.
Oh, I haven't.
Because
I've heard about
so
that.
talented.
I haven't watched that yet. But
he is amazing in Fall of the House of Usher. He's so good.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and everybody's good in that. I really like that series. So
okay.
But no, I thought he was great in this too, as that cameo. I thought, he's not dead, so hopefully we can maybe see him again at some point. Maybe, but because he's still got a beef, I think.
Well, yeah, because the Billy Bass trout ended up not being a valuable thing, and he's like,
Laszlo!
Yeah, it reignited everything. So I really do hope they bring him back, because yes, Mark Hamill, we love him.
Oh, very much so. I also like Nick Kroll as Simon the Devious.
Yes, and I like that he keeps turning up every season, like the Flip Your House, the Flip the House TV show.
This faux reality comedy doing another satire within a faux reality satire. Like it's so funny. And that was really well played out. And then yes, it turns out to be another like episode about the hat, and I'm like, my God, that thing just keeps
it keeps going.
Yeah, and I did like that. I did like that was even mentioned when they were trying to get out of there, and the to-go bag and everything, and I still came in wearing the hat, and she's like, no, that is not coming with us.
Yeah.
We have not seen the last of the hat.
No, we have not. No.
It'll probably be the thing that ends the show.
Probably. Simon will finally get it and get it for good, and not,
Phaedra, are there any other characters that stand out for you from
really
throughout the season?
I mean, she became more of a Kristen Shaw as the guide. Flight of the Conchords. That's where I first saw her, and I just absolutely. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show, but that was Jermaine Clement and Brett, forget his last name, but they created it in Reese Darby, and it's like they're this musical band from New Zealand that like are in New York, and it's really fun. And she's like their one obsessive fan, and she's same energy she brings to the guide, but like just just that weird, just crazy, awkward, whatever. And so I love anything that she's in, and so I love that she became like more of a main character, and it was just that but I liked Haley Joel Osment showing up. And
he was real good. Yes, he was very good.
And
yeah.
And then trying to because it was the Mark Hamill, of course. And just and I, like we mentioned the Baron and the Sire, and just like the side plots that keep coming back. Like even when like Simon the Devious came back in the season 5, I think, or when the
5.
The flip the house, and like he now has a zombie friend, and that made me remember like the necromancer guy. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure he became a zombie through the necromancer guy, like because made that like the small little like throwbacks or whatever, little wispy connections that they make throughout the rest of the seasons. But yeah, Kristen Schaal for sure is she was my favorite site. And then the whole like the vampire hunting club that Guillermo stumbled upon, where we meet Derek. I love Derek because he was just like, he's like, I think we should have sex with each other so we're not virgins. They're like, Derek, stop suggesting this. We're not doing it.
Yeah, then, totally different agenda.
Yeah, and then like he dies, and then like they're like, oh, we still got to get the van back to Derek's mom, and like. And just that whole, and then he comes back as a vampire, and like all this other stuff, and like he just was. I think he's my other favorite like side character that keeps coming back and has like a pretty integral role at the end of it, because he turned Guillermo very poorly. Like the whole thing of him turning Guillermo and just like passing out as he's doing it, and just
and he's got kind of a, well, at least so far, a happy ending for him. Like, I mean, as happy as it can be to be a undead zombie vampire.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like, oh, he can talk. Oh yeah, all zombies can talk. It just takes us a while to transfer over. I love
yeah,
everything, and I love the werewolf stories too. Those were fun.
Well, that was my question. How come this is almost a stereotype I've noticed with True Blood, and there's a couple other shows with werewolves and stuff in them. They're always jean jacket wearing, jeans wearing guys. They're always lower middle class, sort of kind of like, hey man, that's not cool kind of stuff. And then it's like, but we were watching, I said, well, this is like watching True Blood again, but I love the whole werewolf thing where they get the one guy. They're going to be the big fight, and he throws the doggy toy over the edge of the building, and no, he breaks his leg, and they're all down there. It's like, okay, you guys can keep the toys. By the way, we're going to leave.
Or the fact that every time they meet outside and they're doing something outside, all of a sudden a car goes by and half of them go running after the car.
Yeah, yeah. It's very funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
They'll go for that low hanging fruit every time. They will go for that.
Well, I also love Laszlo's best friend, Sean. Also,
Shawnee.
John, how many times has that poor guy been hypnotized?
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm surprised he kind of recovered from the first time, because he was pretty messed up there.
Or the superb owl. Yes.
Yeah.
I did like the guy that converted Guillermo. I liked him. He's like, he's such a he looks like a sci-fi nerd. He looks like he belonged at Dragon Con.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the fact that he like got a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Vampire.
It's so sad.
Like, the whole vampire hunting team felt like they were at Dragon Con.
Toilets clogged.
And he's got a crappy job, and the
literally
lowest of the low, and it's like
it's funny. Yeah, that's I don't know, man. I mean, I'm glad, so happy the way it's going. I think that's one thing about every season I thought, like Mike G was saying, is like, this is where they're going to coast. I don't think these people coast. I think they've got something going where they go, we're going to ratchet this up, because every year I was a little bit more in suspense about the overall story arc, and it always pays off. Somebody knows what they're doing. The writers know what they're doing.
I
Yeah.
remember season 4 when I first watched it. I was like, oh, I wasn't so sure about it. Like
Mhm.
at the end it paid off, but like
Right.
I don't know, like I just it didn't feel as cohesive as other seasons did. But then I rewatched it and I was just like, I don't remember what it was. I don't know. Like it definitely made more sense. It flowed better, and there are other things. I'm like, oh right, I remember I like this part or I like that part. But
Right.
I remember my first time through season 4, I was just like, oh, they should end this. Like it's like the magic's gone, like it's dying. But then they at the end of season 4, and then season 5 came back strong. So it's like, okay, maybe that was your like most series, like season 2 is the slump season, and but like I think season 4 is their slump, and then they came back. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I thought it was interesting at the end of season 3 when they killed off Colin Robinson.
Yeah, I was just
Mhm.
about to think that, Mike. I was like,
Yeah.
That
And it was
bothered
just
me.
like that was like, wow, they're gonna
That's a
actually
bold
kill off one
move.
of the- Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then for him to come back as the baby was just genius.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought
That
the actor
was
wanted out or
disturbing.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
and I
He's,
thought-
he's moving on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to get somebody else in because it seemed like they were going to have somebody, because someone at the end was because they had gotten I thought Nadia and them were going to have a new familiar, but that didn't pan out, and it never does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For them.
They
Well,
cannot keep their
if you
familiars
remember
alive.
the end of season 3 ended very depressing because Nardo went off onto the train. He was going to explore America,
Oh, right.
Mhm.
and Nadia was going to be in charge of the council in the UK.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Nandor, not Nandor, Laszlo,
Yeah.
abandoned her.
Exactly.
And then
He shoved Guillermo in a
shoved
coffin.
Guillermo in there.
Kicked him in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love
Like,
about
there's a
binge
lot of
watching.
Oreo cookies.
With Oreo cookies and also a lot of Pedialyte.
Pedialyte.
That's something I love about binge watching is it's like, if you don't like this season, there's another one along in 5 minutes. And you just keep, I mean, I'm one of those people that's watched shows that some people go, oh, I hated this season, I love this one. And it's like, I just plow right through. And with this show, there wasn't time to sit there and worry about it. Well, there's 200 more episodes to go or something like that.
Mhm.
But
And
yeah,
even if the overall arc doesn't seem to thrill you, it seems like they'll do 2 or 3 episodes a season that really, really stand out and shine. Like in season 4, there's we've got the nightclub thing arc going on all season, and we've got baby Colin Robinson going on all season. But there's that one episode where each one of them takes the cloak and tries to quote unquote help Nandor out
yeah.
by
That was
connecting
season
with
3.
Oh, is it season 3?
Yeah, because that's
Gotcha.
when they become in charge of the council. And,
Gotcha.
There, yeah, and then
Okay, yes, that's right. That is season 3, right? Where he has the crush on Meg. The
because Colin Robinson was one of the people that put the cloak on.
And I thought that
Right.
was
They
I
keep
thought that
going
was
back
really
to her.
a standout episode. Yeah, that could have taken place anytime, right? I mean, there didn't really have much to do with any of the season arcs.
Yeah, it's almost like that's what I'm saying about these sub jokes that are peppered around. It doesn't matter what year it is or whatever. A joke lands from something coming over from the corner, and you're like, "Oh, that's funny as heck." I mean, something you guys were talking about jokes tonight, and I'm sort of like, I don't even remember that. That's how many jokes are flying at you from this show.
Well, and speaking of remembering things, lest we forget, we did R.I.P. Patton Oswalt, but we should also R.I.P. Sophia Coppola. I mean,
yes.
she met her
that's right.
brutal.
Gone too
She
soon.
met her brutal end.
I mean, she asked. I mean, yeah, she requested. She's like, "Oh, we like it much better when they ask for it."
Yeah.
So, which is weird because she's got a new movie coming out. So I don't know how that worked, but
It's a clone.
Remember that.
So like I said, season 5 was a hit, and I think, like I said, I think they're stronger than ever. That has been announced that they're going to do a 6th season. Is there anything in particular that we want to see in the 6th season? Is there anything that we want from this show? Anything that that you can predict might happen on this show, etc.? Where do we go from here
I
now
just
that
want them to let them do their thing.
now
Let
that
them
now
do
that
their thing.
now that Guillermo is no longer a vampire, now that they don't do they still need a bodyguard? Like what's going on with that?
I feel like they will still. They're idiots, so they definitely need a bodyguard.
Yeah, they need
Like,
somebody to help them.
Like again, going back to the refurbishing, the remodel episode, and they're like, oh, and lots of natural light, and they're like, oh my god, we like that. And Guillermo was like, no, that's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea.
Right.
It would be wonderful,
Yeah. So no, they will still need somebody to look after them because they would have been dead so many times without him. So they will need Guillermo as a bodyguard or just to guard them against themselves.
Mark, anything in particular you want to see from season 6?
They are giving to me. If I try to predict ahead of time what's going on, because I never really do. I mean, I'm one of those people that, if somebody's watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie they've never seen before and somebody goes, oh, I know what's going to happen next. I was like, will you shut up? I just, well, couldn't you have guessed it? Maybe I could have, but I just let them do their thing because these people are doing a great job. The bottom line, I laugh.
Yeah.
I laugh. I laugh and I laugh every episode, some more than others, but there's always every episode. I've never been disappointed, so just keep doing what you're doing.
It's one of the smartest written shows on TV. So let them do what they are doing. And they're having fun because every season is different and they go off in directions you don't ever expect them to go. And that's pretty awesome about it.
But they also make good on their original scary stuff. Guillermo I've got Van Helsing blood. I killed the big vampire. I now have been turned and Nandor's going to be really mad, but they make good on it. They don't cheat you on that. That's what I love about it. It always gets built to a climax, and it works. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, they've established their quote unquote rules and they're pretty much adhering to them but they are willing to open up opportunities for other storylines by breaking those rules.
Yeah.
Which I at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
When it's funny.
I think something I would like to see is more Guillermo and Nadia like adventures because the way she's nice to people like especially because like her
nice.
like even like her rapport even with the doll, like when the doll like was like ran away and she's like, come back you stupid little doll, I miss you so much, I love you stupid, just like that back and forth. And like because they had a couple like hijinks when they were running the club together, and I love that they were both skimming off the top but not telling each other, so it's like they have a lot more in common. And I just been because Laszlo has his own little like solo adventures with everybody else on the cast. Like he did the whole thing with him and Colin Robinson being buddies when he realized that Colin Robinson was going to die, and then the whole thing with him and Guillermo trying to figure out why he wasn't becoming a full vampire, and then him and Nandor have their own thing. So it's like like Guillermo and Nadia are the only ones that haven't had like, well, I want more of it. They had a little bit, but it's
they did a little bit in this last season, but I'd like to see more of that too. I agree.
I want more of it. Like I think those are my top two. Like Guillermo and Nadia are my favorite two characters. Like
Guillermo at that hotel and
that episode where she took him to the vet, so to speak, or the vampire doctor, whatever.
The familiar doctor.
The familiar doctor. And it played out just like she was taking a pet to the vet. But her reaction when because they kept saying like the doctor was like, we need to put him down, and her insistence that was not going to happen was so sincere, and probably one of the most sincere things that she's done since we've seen the show. And her rage at trying to get him out of there, despite the fact that she was mad at him for being turned, was so. I think it was one of her best acting moments in the whole series, because she was it was so powerful. And I do think they have a connection. So maybe they will build on that.
Interesting to see.
I was kind of surprised that they didn't do more. Like I guess they didn't drag it out more. I thought they were going to drag it out more about when Colin Robinson was running for office, because I thought that was a really, really funny idea. But they just sort of nipped that in the bud in like one episode. But when they go to the Council of Energy
The
Vampires,
Energy Vampire Council.
that sequence went on forever, but it was the funniest thing. It was
That was the
again
whole point of it.
It was
yeah, exactly.
So
It was like
great.
it's just the epitome of like, it's funny, then it's not funny, then it's funny, then it's not funny. I mean, it's just, that's the whole basis for that part of the show, the vampire part of the show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
I felt my energy drawing from me at that point.
It
But
is interesting
the
to
low
me that
mic and everything. It's just like, oh, you need to speak up. I'm practically yelling into my mic right now.
I'm sorry, is my voice is working?
one of the things is, and I was kind of comparing it.
So it's okay.
I was kind of comparing it to MASH in the fact that I always watched MASH, and could be dramatic, and I laughed. There was a lot of good jokes. But one thing, this show, hell, I forgot what I was going to say. Completely forgot what I was going to say. I know what it was. The difference between MASH the movie and MASH the TV show, they were still the same characters. It was still Hawkeye and all that stuff originally. So they kept that. This show didn't do that. It was interesting. It said, no, we're wiping the slate from the film vampires. You're creating your own vampires. One that I did kind of miss was that Nosferatu down in the basement going, and when somebody got too close to him. But I was glad. I was like, this is different from any others. Usually they redo. Usually in comparison to films, they've got better haircuts, and then they bring them on and all that, and it's just the same characters but done by different people. But this show said, no, you're literally gonna come up with a whole new cast, a whole new crew of people, and it really worked. I was glad that they did that in a way. It lets the movie be the movie and the TV show be the TV show.
Yeah. Well, they're linked, that they're part of the same universe, which is
yeah, you
great.
saw some of those guys later.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Right. So I kind of like the way that they played out. They built on that. So yeah. Taika Waititi's not an idiot. He's like, look, if I can get paid to be like to keep doing what I'm doing, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we'll have to wait until season 6. Obviously, nobody's shooting anything until the actors can come back. But we can, in the meantime, we can switch over to more Watiti type humor in Our Flag Means Death. So now that I've finished watching the last season of What We Do in the Shadows, now I can watch the new season
that's
of
right.
Our Flag Means
That's
Death.
out now.
I know. So anyway, all right, it's been awesome to talk to you guys about What We Do in the Shadows. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get creative again. Boy, it's been a long time since we've gotten creative, Mike.
Oh, very much so. And it's going to be changing seasons already. So it'll be a lot of fun to find out. Welcome back. Now it's time for the Creative Outlet segment, joined by our friend, Eric Paul Johnson. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be back.
It's been quite a few years. You've been quite busy with various podcast projects. I remember when we had you on last time, you were talking about the ELO podcast that you did with your other Eric friend.
Yeah, Eric Winsenson.
Yep.
We, I guess, been a year and a half. I don't know. We ran through the entire discography of ELO, and then we're making some money. Certainly weren't making enough to be living off of, but enough to convince me to continue with a pre-ELO podcast. And we've been doing that for the last, I guess, year and a half, where we cover the bands that led to the creation of ELO. Mike Sheridan and the Night Riders, the Chads, and the Night Riders without Mike Sheridan. And right now we're going in release order. So right now we're bouncing back and forth between the Move and the Idle Race.
Oh, that's awesome.
Until eventually Jeff Lynne joins the Move, and then it'll just be the Move.
Yep, I remember that era. So it's pretty awesome, my friend.
Yeah.
So you actually have a new project you're working on. That's why you're here tonight, to help promote.
Yes. It's called Christmas Carol Catastrophes.
Oh, okay.
A podcast covering the oddest Christmas songs to ever be unleashed on an unsuspecting public.
Oh, my goodness. So is it just going to be for pre-holidays, or what's it going to be?
It's just going to be for Christmas time.
Okay.
Our Get to Know Us episode comes out on November 17th. And then after that, there'll be 4 episodes every week where we cover a different song, where it just makes you, some of these songs will make you think, how did that ever even get to the recording process? The first song we cover, it's about a bus accident, which is nothing more Christmassy than a bus accident that kills everybody on board.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. And then the week after that, Eric Winsenson picked a Christmas song by the Residents. And if anybody knows anything about the Residents, it will make you, cock your head like a dog who's been handed algebra. Here you go. Do it, doggy. Do some algebra. And then we get a couple more songs that'll come up. And not all of the songs that we cover will be awful, like the first one. Some of them we like, but they're unusual. It's not usually the subject that you expect to hear on a Christmas song. And it's definitely not something you're going to hear on your light rock soccer mom station when they go all Christmas in. Well, I suppose around Halloween they start going Christmas. Yeah.
I was going to be worried about you having to review the Mariah Carey song all the way. So
no, that's one of the rules of this podcast. We're not going to cover Christmas songs that everybody knows. I mean, I love Nat King Cole. I love Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time. And there's a whole ton of great Christmas songs that I love. They won't be on this podcast.
Gotcha,
I'm sure there are other Christmas podcasts that have covered it. Everybody knows those songs. So I think another, part of this podcast is to sort of put out Christmas songs that people might not know exist, good or bad.
Are you going to be going through like the Dr. Demento Christmas catalog and such, or?
The way it goes, I pick 2 songs, and when Sensen picks 2 songs, and we go back and forth each week.
Okay.
I picked, let's see, this will be the 3rd week of the podcast, or the 3rd song. One of the songs I picked was I Found the Brains of Santa Claus.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And the next week after that, when Sensen picked, what is it? Chiron Beta Prime, I believe it is.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, Chiron Beta Prime. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So definitely some stuff that most normal mortals,
Yeah. If for people outside of the Dr. Demento world who give you that blank look when you bring him up, yeah, there's going to be some stuff in here that they would have no idea about.
Right. But, that's pretty cool, though. I'm very, very impressed that you guys are getting into that, and you guys have so much cool stuff that you have to pick from. And that's cool that you're going to be able to you have probably a couple years worth of material that you guys can do and everything.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to go, it could go on for a long, long time if we're only doing, 4 episodes a year in December. Yeah, because my head is just like, oh, that song. Oh, no, we got to do, and I'm like, no, we got to.
Sure. I'm sure. So has it started yet, or when is the first episode?
The teaser trailer, the first one has come out. I think the second one has probably come out pretty soon. And then the shows will start November 17th with the required Get to Know Us episode.
Yeah, of course.
And then the week after that, I believe it's the Friday after Thanksgiving, then we start covering the songs.
Oh, very good.
And it will end the Friday before Christmas.
Okay.
And then there'll probably be a wrap-up episode sometime in January where we answer any phone calls or messages, emails or comments that might have come in.
Of course.
And then we record new episodes in June, and then just wait for Christmas 2024 to roll around for them.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome, sir. Well, we're looking forward to it. And how can people find it?
You can do a Google search for Christmas Carol Catastrophes podcast. There's Podomatic, Podbean. There are a couple other ones. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Christmas Carol Catastrophes podcast. You can look that up on YouTube.
Okay.
It'll have the episodes. It'll have the full version of the songs we're covering. And I'm also working on some extra goodies. There are playlists. One of them is a music playlist called A Department Store Christmas, where it's music that you might have heard while Christmas shopping at the mall or a department store from like the 50s or 60s. It puts your head into that time period.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm uploading old time radio shows that were Christmas shows from back then. There was a Christmas radio serial from 1937 called The Cinnamon Bear, and they did one episode from November 29th until December 24th. And so each day, that episode will post on our YouTube channel. Well, I wouldn't say new episode, the next episode, since it is from 1937.
Fantastic. And we'll have links to it up on our show notes. So
That'd be great.
we're going to play the promo during this episode. So
Cool, that'd be great.
So definitely, folks, definitely look for it. And if it's, I know Eric. So if I know either of them, it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys to talk about and listen.
Yeah, I love Christmas. When Sensen, he likes Christmas maybe a week in December. So I'm the one who goes overboard with Christmas. He's the one who's, oh my God, please, can we just contain it for a little bit and just in this one area? So it's
That's
not
all.
going to be two people gushing about Christmas or two people banging on Christmas. I wanted both ends of the
spectrum.
Christmas spectrum. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a blast. Eric, thank you as always, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Great to be here.
Let's take a quick break and we'll be back to close up the show. Okay, YouTube listeners, it's time to do our bonus scenes and stuff. I was thinking about this and such. It was nice, like you brought up right at the end there when we were talking, Mike, about, how when Watiti was creating the TV show, they didn't use the same characters like MASH did and other shows that are spin-offs of the movies and such. They created all original characters for this. Would you want to see, a spin-off from this? I know we joked about, the Baron and everything, or could you see, Laszlo and Nadia having a series, or is it the chemistry between everybody that makes the show?
I think it's one of those things like I was never a fan of Cheers. I could always guess the jokes. Somebody'd open their mouth and I said, that's what they're going to say. And they would, and be like, But I love Frasier. Frasier cracked me up because the writers were different. It just depends on what the artists are doing. The writers, the people, if they've got an idea and they believe it and they've got material in their heads and in their hearts and on paper, they could continue to do this, whether it's Norman Lear creating 4 or 5 shows from one show originally, or Frasier coming from Cheers or whatever. It just depends upon the artist. It depends upon the writer. If they have as many laughs as this show or even nearly as many laughs, good chance I'd watch it.
Frasier's back from the dead now too. Is he a vampire?
He looks like it.
Oh, what now?
Frasier's back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll do a show on that later.
No, I haven't gone back to it. He doesn't need to know my name. That's okay. So, but yeah, it's interesting too, because that's one of the things I love about a good series. It would be interesting even to maybe The Guide, Tales of the, and do a story like the Tales of the Council or something like that. And, there's so many different vampires they could touch on and everything. Right. So,
yeah, it just depends. I tell you what, if somebody in their heart knows they've got something really good and solid and they pitch it, it could be great.
Yeah, I would want to see something. I think to Mark's point, though, I would want to see something different. Like don't do the same show again, just set in a different place.
Oh no,
Right,
not at all.
exactly.
I think
Exactly.
I think a
Exactly.
lot of shows kind of when they do their spinoffs, they kind of I think Walking Dead got into that trap. They're like, oh, we're doing the same thing on this show.
It's a bunch of people
but-
standing around with sticks
but they're in Texas
machetes
instead of Georgia or whatever.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
so you know, it's like the whole thing like the setup has to be different and just be in that same world, use those same quote unquote rules. I can't think of anybody that we've met yet that feel strong enough that I'm like, oh, that I want to see their own show. But I
Right.
mean, I'm certainly open to it. So it's not to say that couldn't happen.
It does
Like-
happen. Like when I was watching shoot, what's the crystal meth show with
Breaking
Right.
Bad.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
The first and second episodes where Saul came on there,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that guy needs his own show. I mean, as soon as he came on, I said, this guy is so interesting. And it happened. It was even like, well, almost like I felt like it predicted the future or something. But it was a great original show, and it was a great show afterward. It just was like lightning. You know, you could just tell.
To be fair, I was a big fan of Cheers, loved Frasier on Cheers. I never once said that guy needs his own show. But
no,
yet,
that was
but-
the thing
but
when I
yet-
heard about it.
That's how
but
it
we
worked.
want, but I ended up watching Frasier all throughout that run too. Its initial run. I
Yeah,
haven't seen the new one either, but and it was great, but it was different. And was still ensemble, but it was different, different enough, different location.
exactly.
Like a couple people, you know, they did crossovers every once in a while, which is fine. But the premise, the things that were going on were different. So
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch Cheers, and when I heard that they were making a show called Frasier, I said, well, I'll never watch that. And then I ended up watching the whole thing and loving it. So, you know, you don't know. Yeah.
That's the cool thing about it is you just sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Look at with Friends, Joey, you know, oh, it's going to be a spinoff of Friends, and everyone's going to love, you know, lovable Joey. He's going to be great, and that series sucked.
Yeah, that
Or-
didn't last past a season, right?
No,
Well, to use
Or-
Mark's own example, the best spinoff of MASH was Trapper
After
John
MASH.
MD, which was completely different.
Was what?
Was Trapper John MD, which was completely different. Which looked at it completely
That
differently.
was a spinoff from MASH.
Yeah.
I
Just
remember
like
watching that
just
when I was
like
younger.
just like
Yeah.
the
It didn't
best
even
spinoff.
have the-
Well, I don't want to say
have
the best
same
spinoff.
actor as
The best
Trevor.
spinoff from Mary Tyler Moore was Lou Grant, which was a drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Rhoda was pretty good.
No, Rhoda was pretty good too, but I mean, I was shocked that the fact that they went from this guy in a solid comedy,
Right.
being comedic, and then going over into a sincere, thoughtful man, and the show was excellent until political stuff got it pulled
Wasn't
off.
Family Matters a spinoff of Perfect Strangers? Because
Right.
wasn't the mom was, I think it was Perfect Strangers. Oh man, but was a character on in that show, and then that's they're connected in the same universe, I
Right.
believe. And it's I think that's when it worked best, when it was the most random, you know, spin-offs or whatever, where it's just it wasn't a main character going off and going on their own. It was a side character or someone, you know,
Yeah.
supporting character,
Yeah.
and who has their own life, who has their, you know, so it's what are they doing when they're not on the screen? And I think that's a spin-off that would work. I
Right.
don't know if there's anyone I would really think of and in the ensemble cast of What We Do in the Shadows that I would be oh yeah, that'd be cool to see. But what you said about if the writers are good, if the people are, you know, it could be great.
Yeah,
you know?
it just depends.
So,
It's
I
like
definitely give it a shot for sure.
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
You just need to know people's hearts are into it.
The perfect spinoff. Simon
it doesn't even-
and his crew.
Yes.
Well, it does. I was just about to say it doesn't even have to be. It probably shouldn't be vampires.
Yeah, it could be some other
Like
fantastical
Shawnee.
thing.
Either
Sure.
werewolf. It could be werewolves. It could be witches. It could be something else, because we've established that there's all these other kind of supernatural type beings in this world. So you could play around with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, definitely. They've touched on werewolves, they've touched on witches, they've touched on zombies, voodoo, and they've even, it's pretty amazing. Ghosts and such. Remember when Colin Robinson brought back his grandmother so that
I
he could
did.
tell his
Up
stupid
dog.
joke? What's up, dog?
And as soon as she said it, he's like, all right, and then just blew out the candle.
Yeah. He's like,
So I
At
did
last.
check. Family Matters was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. Harriet Winslow was the elevator operator in the building,
there you go.
and they yeah, and then they went and decided to put a whole show about her family, and that it became about Steve Urkel, because that wasn't the original plan for that show.
in this
He
day and age,
it's like Fonzie was not
Right.
Happy Days' main thing at all, and
Yeah.
then he got
in
how many
this
years
day
of
and
it?
age, they want to milk everything. So everything's about franchises, everything's about
exactly.
spin-offs and prequels and all of that. So I'm sure it's been discussed.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, Happy Days was even a spin-off. So,
Sure.
so it was pretty, because a lot of people didn't realize that Love American Style was, what it was, where it was birthed.
Oh, I didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
And everything. So, and it's funny when you get that, and what Happy Days had 3 different spin-offs.
At least.
Well, and The Simpsons was on the Tracy Ullman show.
Well, exactly.
It was a little short
It was a little-
cartoons
I
at
remember
first.
that.
Yeah.
So they've been going over 30 years.
Over 30
Yeah,
years.
it's the most successful.
I think we did an
Written
episode
show,
on
scripted
spin-offs
show.
once.
Yes, we did.
That was a spin-off episode.
And of course
Spin-off
it
of the spin-off on another
Spin-off
on
of
another
spin-offs.
network.
Exactly.
Heck, there's even been spin-offs of Earth Station 1.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. Wow, look at you guys.
And some are still existing. That's pretty cool.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I'm on 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool how it works. But yeah, definitely it's neat to see. And like you said during the show, I love that every season is completely different, but it's, it has the same, characters, but it's like, how silly can they be? How stupid can they be? Nandor and the genie, how many ways can he,
He runs out.
he
That was
ran out
funny.
of all
I
those
like that one.
unlimited wishes
Yeah.
and everything. And then, with one of the final episodes, you had the genie come back. He says, "No, man, you don't have any more wishes."
Yeah.
He had a lot of issues.
He did.
I'd never heard of genies being able to grant because it must have been in the hundreds.
Oh
Or
god!
more. Well, one of the wishes was close the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was just burning through them. He's
He's
just
I
like,
can get Guillermo. No.
lose my coffin. He's just
Yeah.
oh, I can't reach my
I wish I could reach that cup over there.
coffin.
No, it was fun. And you know what? There's so much cool little things. It is actually even worth rewatching, which is kind of cool too.
Oh yeah, that show will be easy to rewatch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Exactly.
done it. Like I said, I've done it several times. It's pretty good. It's a nice rewatch.
Yes,
It's-
there's so
and
many
it's a good
jokes
time.
firing at you.
Mhm.
I'm like, I just think that I'm going to see a bunch more stuff that I didn't see the last time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I bet.
For sure.
I need to rewatch the movie again. I watched the movie so long ago, and now that I've seen the series, I'd kind of like to rewatch the movie again just to see if I can see it with fresh eyes. And now that that the show's behind me,
Mhm.
I'll probably
And-
notice other things there too.
Oh, you're going to notice a bit because there were a couple different storylines in the first season that they did use from the movie. The whole werewolf story
Mhm.
was right from the movie. So, but it's, you know what? It's fun. And that's what you need to do. And it's fun to have fun stuff to watch, especially in this day and age when, watching the bloody news is so freaking depressing. It's,
You need a laugh
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
for
And
sure.
that's a good way to do it. All right, let's close up the show. So that's going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. Mr. Mark, thank you for joining us for all the Hollywood episodes again.
I appreciate it. We always wheel out the old man.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Well, it's like bringing out the dead.
Gordon doesn't talk to me all year, and he goes, "Mark, you think maybe you can?" And I, wheel out. But no, I love being.
I'm begging.
Well,
But you love this stuff as much as we do, if not more in some cases.
No, I love it more than you guys. I mean, this is what I do. It's Halloween at this house 365 days a year. Well, except for Christmas. But I I love you guys having me on the show, and I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed doing this year's episodes quite a bit. I wish I'd been able to do the one on Lovecraft as well, but c'est la vie.
So
You know?
lovely.
Well, we love your input, and we also love the fact that you've been helpful in getting us some really great guests to join us as well. So thank you.
Very much so.
Oh, you're quite
Very,
welcome.
very much
Quite
so.
welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anything you want to promote?
I did until now that I'm on camera, I can't remember any of it. The new issue of Scream is probably going to be on the stands this week. I can't even remember whether he's already got it out at the conventions or not. I will say this: it deals with a new Criterion release on the cover, featuring. Well, heck, by the time this will be a couple of days from now, it definitely would be out by then. Featuring the new Criterion release of Todd Browning horror films. And I'm pretty proud of this cover. So if you go into Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, whatever, here in the next week or so, it is a quasi setup as a old-time carnival poster, the cover. But I'm pretty proud of it. I put a lot of work into it. The Metropolis cover for Ghost Agents comic that I did, they did their Kickstarter. They met their goal, and it's going to be published as an oversized comic book. And then I've just got some more action adventure book covers with the Red Menace I'm going after, and then back to movie artwork. So that's that.
That's pretty awesome, my friend. Totally awesome. And Phaedra, thank you so much for being with us once again. It's been way too long.
I'm glad I was able to come back. There was a couple of things I wanted to do, but I was moving from Colorado to New York, and I knew I really wanted to be on the John Wick one, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to see that and in time for whatever. But
that's a big move.
It
was a bit
Yeah.
it was a great move. I love it out here. So
Nice.
but yeah, I'm glad to be back, and hope to be back again in the future.
You definitely will. I could almost guarantee it.
Awesome.
It was nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Anything you want to promote or shout out about?
Nothing current. There's I do want to kind of shout out to, there's a horror, since we are in Halloween, spooky season. There is a horror short story podcast called Nightlight, and it is it's a Black owned, it's stories from Black authors and Black narrators. I narrated a story a couple episodes ago called 1 a.m. Knock, but it's all horror stories, and and they release every 2 weeks, and it's really neat. The last one that they just released this week was about a house that was kind of sentient, and how's the and what happens when a house goes crazy. And I had a really fun time narrating it, and narrating the story that I did, which is 1 a.m. Knock, and all the other stories that come out of really just different types of horror. So if you like horror short stories, I really recommend people check it out, because it's really cool. And I liked it because most of the voice work I do isn't commercially available. So I was like, oh, I get to actually listen to the finished product of something I did. So
Nice.
I'm like, oh, nice. This is what my voice sounds like. It's weird. And but yeah, that's
Join
all.
the club. Join the club.
Yeah. I'm just like, why I don't like the sound of my voice. Why did I pick a profession where I have to listen to my voice directly into my earballs? It's just but I'm getting better at it. But
Oh, very much so. And you've got such a great voice. It's pretty
thank you. Yours is you have the deep, rich, radio voice. So I appreciate that coming from you.
You heard that, producers and people of audiobooks and everything. I am available. So and I work cheap, as you can tell by ESO.
And you have plenty of time.
Yeah. Don't work cheap. Never work cheap.
All I picked up was available and cheap. That's all I picked up.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, you'll pick me up later, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay.
I'll get that PayPal payment sent right away.
You betcha, buddy.
But
And Mr. Mike, we've made it through another episode, my friend.
We did, and we made it through the countdown to Halloween for 2023, and it was
2024.
And now we started on 2024.
2024.
So this has been amazing. It's been quite a pleasure to do it again this year. We've had a lot of great fun.
Oh, very much so. And everyone's always invited, except for Gizmo. He's not invited. But anything you want to shout out about, sir?
I do, as we referenced in the beginning of the show. Last weekend was Monsterama here in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's my first year as the track director for the literature and comics and art track, and it was an amazing experience. Yeah, there were some stressful moments, but they were outnumbered by the many special moments I had over the weekend. And Anthony and Suzanne put on a marvelous event. And my fellow track directors, Darren Bush, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, my first assistant on my track, Kyle Mitchell, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, Aubrey Spivey, who I don't know if she's been on our show before, but she should. She was very helpful as well. They helped with our track, and everybody else, all our panelists, everybody who attended, everybody who was part of Monsterama. It's not just a convention, it's a community, and one that I'm very proud to be part of now. I'm already looking forward to doing it again next year. It's going to be in August of next year. I can't remember the exact dates. It's going to be, I think, in the same hotel. So, and it's going to be a blast. So, because I'm going to, even have more time to prep for it. Although I'll probably wait till the last minute, just like I usually do, on everything. So, but it's an incredible experience, and I can't thank enough the people that were part of it this past year, and I can't wait for other people to join us next year.
That is awesome, sir. That is really, really awesome. My shout out real quick is going to go, I'm going to do something, pretty easy to talk about it for me and such. I want to talk about, now that Halloween is behind us, it's a giving season is going to start, and there are a lot of charities out there that we are going to be bombarded with and everything. And so many people are in need right now. And what we're going to try to tell people is do whatever one you feel comfortable with. We're not going to go out and promote just one charity, give to this organization or this organization. We're going to try to help everybody. And, find it in the goodness in your heart, because there's so much crap going on out there right now, folks, that you need to, everyone needs help some way or something. If it's just, even if, talking to your friends, talking to your neighbors, and, just being there as an ear. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, it's just like 5-10 minutes of your time. If you haven't talked to somebody who, you know is not taking something very well, or the seasons, because there's seasonal depressions, it's getting colder, it's getting darker early. And, it's just time to be able to, say, hey, how are you doing? You doing good? You want to go grab a beer or just sit around and talk? Just offer to be an ear to listen to somebody. And it's just a lot of time like that will help people more than any amount of money in your pockets or anything. It's what, friends are for. And it doesn't even have to be a friend. It could be, like I said, a neighbor or somebody you see at the store and they're having a bad day or something. And, just say, hey, smile at them. Something little like that is enough to sometimes brighten somebody's day and everything. And that's what's cool about it and everything. And, we're going to be doing lots of stuff for the holidays. We're going to be, going out, being with friends, being with family, traveling, whatever. But you know what? Some people aren't as fortunate with that. Reach out to somebody. Try to, just pick up the phone. Somebody you haven't talked to for a while. Someone you haven't, thought of in a bit. Go through your phone book and everyone has a zillion phone numbers on their iPhones or Androids, and just say, hey, I haven't talked to this person for a year or two or 6 months. I want to just see, hey, just was thinking about you. How you doing? It's going to go a long way to do stuff like that, and just shows common decency, like I said. And, there's goodness in everybody. I hope there is, at least, because, you're listening to us. So you have some goodness in you. So it's a good thing. But you know what, folks, we love you all. And, it's all about making it on into the next year and the next year and the next year, and not being miserable about it. And there's a lot of, like I said earlier, there's a lot to be miserable about, but I'm not trying to let it get to us, and not trying to, pass on good vibes, good feelings to everybody, no matter who or what they are. There's always, somebody out there who just needs a little, hello, how's it going? That's all you have to do. You know, that's where I'm going to end that, because I can go on and on and on. And you know what? Not today. All right, folks. Thanks as always for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. We couldn't do this without you. Always remember, if you want to help support the station, we do got an amazing Tee Public Store going on. We got new stuff coming out real soon. Have some new ideas on the drawing pad right now as we're speaking. And we're going to have some new t-shirts. You can also do stickers. I found out on Tee Public, you can actually even do outfits for your dogs. I was shocked with that. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to have an ESO logo on your dog's back or something? I think that would be kind of cool to see. And, us who have tons of dogs, our dogs would probably be trying to gnaw it off as soon as they, put it on and everything. But it would be fun to see them, running around in a circle trying to chase after themselves with ESO on it. So I think that could be kind of fun. Also, remember, if you want to listen to the show anytime before the rest of the world, why not join in the ESO Network Patreon? For as little as $1 a month, you can help support the ESO Network and Earth Station One. Why not just go to patreon.com/ESO Network? We want to hear from you, as always. If you'd like what we do in the shadows, if you want to get into the holiday music and learn more about, Eric Paul Johnson's podcast, all these different kind of cool stuff that's going on right now. And we have a lot of stuff going on. You guys are going to be really surprised what's coming your way. Why not write us? Sometimes feedback at Earth Station One is the best way to just say, hey, ESO folks, what's going on? We definitely would love to hear from you guys. Remember, you can find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found. And of course, you see these lovely faces up on YouTube. So remember, everyone, as Mr. Rourke used to say, smiles, everyone, smiles. And if you get a chance, like and subscribe. That was the best way to do it. And the thumbs up. That's what helps with the algorithm, I found out. So definitely, please check out, our YouTube channel or listen to us wherever fine podcasts are found. On behalf of myself, of course, Mike Faber, Mr. Michael Gordon, Phaedra Eason, and of course, the legendary Mark Maddox. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. We will see you all next time here on Earth Station One. Peace. And we are done. Boom!
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.
You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.